I thank the gentleman for yielding, and I'm not on this committee. I'm not even on the subcommittee or the full committee. This issue is so important to me to have an opportunity to talk with you that I wanted to waive on. I started this process in 2017 when I was contacted by folks in my hometown of Lawrence, South Carolina, about our post office there. The Postal Service removed the drive-up boxes completely. They put a mailbox out front where elderly folks have to call into the post office for folks to come out and retrieve their mail or deliver their mail. I don't know how that's feasible from a personnel standpoint, but the drive-up boxes have been there for a long time. The second issue is the location of the post office is on a United States highway, US 221. It's at the top of a hill. So when there's a lot of traffic at that post office, there are a limited number of parking spaces right in front, and they're all full. People are sitting in a U.S. highway trying to turn in at the top of a hill. It creates a tremendous safety issue. I've got a record of the incidents that have happened there. So it's an unsafe location. So we've asked for consideration of relocating that post office. And in 2018, April 2018, and you acknowledge receipt of that on April 30th, a letter was sent to U.S. Postal Service from myself, U.S. Senator Lindsey Graham, U.S. Senator Tim Scott, the local mayor, the city council chairman, and a number of other constituents asking for just a meeting to look at that post office, just to come up, some personnel that work for you, just to come up to Lawrence to look at that post office situation and address some of the issues, maybe the drive-up boxes, maybe the post office itself. You came and spoke to Republican caucus a couple years ago down in the visitor center. I met with your chief of staff. I handed him a detailed note, whispered in his ear, told him the issue, and asked for a meeting with U.S. Postal Service personnel in Lawrence to address this issue. I'm here today because I have not heard from you guys at all. You refused to meet with me. You refused to have personnel from Atlanta or Columbia come to meet with me. I named 2 post offices this year. I met with the legislative liaison, people that came up for the post office namings in my district, and asked them. We've heard nothing. So I'm here asking you for a commitment to have personnel from the U.S. Postal Service come and meet with me about an issue that's so important that a United States Senator got involved.
Well, I think I remember the incident, and from my understanding is you have been given an answer since 2018.
No, the answer is we're not willing to meet with you.
No, the answer was an explanation of what the situation was and what the changes that you were requesting, and that we could not.
No, sir, the answer was if a customer of the U.S. Postal Service has a complaint, we don't meet with federal officials. I represent 770,000 Americans who expect their mail. Y'all have a great job, and you do a tremendous job, but I represent a large constituency that expects me to be their representative with an agency of the federal government and at least have a conversation. And you're not even willing to come up and visit and take a look.
I'll visit.
Eyeballs on
I
the
will
situation.
visit with you anytime. I don't know if I'm going to go to where you are.
You don't have to, but send somebody. Nobody's come,
Sir, I believe we have sent people.
No, sir, you haven't. You haven't.
Okay.
Because I would have been there.
I will take another look. I will take a look at it. I'm thinking I'm recalling the situation, the specific request properly, but I will take a look at it. And I'll call you myself and tell you whether
You
we're
commit
going
to have somebody come to Lawrence and take a look at it on the ground with me, and we can actually walk through the situation there, talk to law enforcement about the issues?
Okay, but that's fine. But I believe from 2018, there were a lot of people involved in making decisions about access and postal access before me, right? And I am trying to transform the organization. I'm assuming, I cannot believe that they have not made improper decisions.
I'll provide you the documentation where they haven't, if you'd like to see that. Second issue.
Okay.
I've got a commitment. You're going to send somebody. We're going to take a look at it. Hopefully with me present, we can look at the issue. Second issue in my district, Savannah Lakes Village. It's a development. I know y'all have a lot of developments. They're building out. U.S. Postal Service actually delivers mail to houses within that development. But new houses that have been built since whatever the date is where a new policy went into play, the postal delivery service drives by houses to deliver to the house next door, but they won't deliver to the new one. And this development, all the land was sold prior to the rule that you guys had about new houses within the development like that. This should be grandfathered in. There's an issue with trying to build a cluster box, but the Postal Service won't even meet with this group. They sit in a town hall, just meet with stakeholders and see if we can reach a solution to this. But I can't believe that a postal delivery person would drive by a house, deliver mail to the next door, maybe the second house down, but will skip a house that was recently built in a development where the land was all sold prior to the rulemaking of the U.S. Postal Service. Can I get a commitment that you guys will meet with the folks in Savannah Lakes Village? It doesn't have to be the local Postal Service, postal operators, but nobody will come and have a meeting with stakeholders there.
Yeah. So there's a lot of things you would not believe, right? And there's a lot of requirements on us that I cannot believe, right? That we are trying to straighten out and balance what our service is, what the rules, what the legacy rules are in terms of what we do, and what every individual American wants in terms of service. And it's you need a magical power to do it, right? So why he passes that collection box and so forth, there's probably a rule that says that's what we do. Right?
And that's ludicrous. You guys behind you are shaking their head.
Probably. I agree. There's a lot of ludicrous things. I could give you a list 1,000 miles long.
I get that there's other developments that sit in a unique situation, but something needs to change because Americans expect to have their mail delivered. I'm way over time, Mr. Chairman, but thank you for committing to actually look at some of this with me.
Yeah, I will. And I just want to remind you that when we got here, we had a $153 billion negative balance sheet, and we're losing 10, 11, 12 billion dollars a year.
But that postal delivery person is still going into the neighborhood, driving right by a house. How can they not stop? I get it. Thank you.
I thank the gentleman from South Carolina, and Mr. General DeJoy, I was aware of the gentleman this morning. Perhaps this is new or not new necessarily to you, but I have committed to the gentleman that I will engage your appropriate government relations people and that we will sit down next week. I think it's important that under, whether it's Mr. Mfume or myself, that this subcommittee personally takes the responsibility to effectively meet with the gentleman from South Carolina and your staff. And so I would ask that you not have to call yourself, but that rather your government affairs people would be in touch with us. We will set up that meeting. I think part of what you're trying to do is to run a large operation, and what the gentleman from South Carolina is trying to do is to make sure that he effectively deals with you and you with them. So I would just let you know on the public record, whether it's Mr. Mfume or whether it's myself, we will engage in a positive way to make progress. And I thank the gentleman from South Carolina for his time.